Well, it looks like we're at the top of the hour here. Let's go ahead and get started. This is the Getting Started webinar with Mylio Photos. And this is a great webinar for those of you who are just starting out with Mylio Photos. Maybe you've never installed it yet, or for those of you who may have just installed it, you want to get a better overview of what Mylio Photos can do for you. My name is Lori Rubin. I'm a product evangelist for Mylio Photos. I'm also a professional photographer. Mostly I like to take photos of wildlife and landscapes. We've got also I'm a photo educator. With us today, we've got JC Figueroa. He is our customer success lead for Mylio Photos, wonderful underwater photographer, photo organization educator, as well as a media technology professional. JC, you want to say, yeah, I was going to say, you want to say hi to everybody?
Hello.
Yay. I'm glad to have you with us. Well, there are 5 steps we're going to go through today. This is going to help you to get the most out of Mylio Photos. We'll start with showing you how to collect and gather your photos and memories together into a single place. Also, how you can connect, browse, and share your favorite memories from any device. We'll also talk about Select, which is finding and cataloging your memories quickly and easily with the Mylio Photos search tools. And Reflect. Browse your favorite memories using a variety of views. So we'll explore by person, place, time, and much more. And then at the very end, we'll talk about Protect and why it's important to have multiple backup methods using the Mylio Photos Plus plan. Now, to start out with, for those of you who have not installed Mylio Photos yet, the very first place you would go to would be mylio.com website. You click on a button that says Get Mylio Photos Now. And then rather than me stepping you through the steps in our manual, and I'll show you this at the end of the presentation, there's actually step-by-step instructions under installing Mylio Photos. It'll show you how to install on a Mac, on Windows, on your smartphone or tablet, and even working with the sample library. We made it really simple, so I don't feel like there's a really need to step through this, but if you want to see this at the very end of the presentation, just let us know. We'll be happy to show you that as well. Well, the first step is we want to bring all of our images together. Gathering them into a single place is really optimal. I don't know if you're like me, but I used to have my media, such as my photos and videos and documents, scattered everywhere. I've got tons of drives and memory cards scattered throughout, but now with Mylio Photos, I'm able to consolidate, put them all in one place. It's just a miracle. I love it. Here's some examples of where you can find your memories and photos on particular devices like your computers, your phones, tablets, and storage sources such as hard drives and memory cards. Social media and sharing sites, you really should have these images securely stored and protected on your own devices. Now, this is new for us. When you first install Mylio Photos, at the end, you'll get this window that pops up. This is called the guided import screen. And it'll be displayed to help you locate and add media to your Mylio Photos library. You can also get this feature anytime after you install Mylio Photos just by simply going to the File menu and choosing Guided Import Screen. This is great because it'll give you some suggestions. For instance, you might have some photos that are in your picture folder on your computer. So you would simply click on Add Pictures Folder, and that would place it into your Mylio Photos library. Maybe you want to add your Apple Photos or from your Android phone, Facebook, Instagram, etc. I've used this and it's been very helpful. And Mylio Photos work seamlessly with or without an internet connection. So this actually eliminates the need for the cloud. Your Mylio Photos maintains complete privacy since there's no personal data that's shared with advertisers or third parties. And if you want extra security, you can for this cloud usage, your data will be encrypted for extra privacy. So we have a setting there that you can set for that. Let's talk about Connect. So with Mylio Photos Plus plan, you can, even if you're organized, your library might only be accessible from a single device. For example, your computer, it might not be synced up consistently. If you have the Mylio Photos Plus plan, you can set up multiple devices. These are called vaults. I'll show you that in a moment. These hold all of your original files, and Mylio Photos Plus can automatically back up your memories even when on the road without an internet connection. If you want to see the differences between our two plans, we've got a free plan, Mylio Photos and Mylio Photos Plus. I can also share that at the end of the presentation as well. And to let you know here, when you go to install Mylio Photos will store a system folder in the home directory on all of your different devices. We're going to go in, I'll show you how my setup is, and yours may look different, but I'll give you an idea of how I set up mine. So I'm going to go into Mylio Photos here. Over on the left-hand side, we're going to spend some time going through some of these views, but to start with, there's this little icon here. It says dashboard. Simply click on that. And this is going to show me my devices. So if I click on this device section here, you'll see I've got a MacBook Pro set up with Mylio Photos, an iPhone. I've got Google Drive set up, as well as 2 external vaults or drives. You'll notice that this iPhone is grayed out. That's because I don't have Mylio Photos currently running, but if I simply go into my iPhone, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Mylio Photos, and it should highlight here in just a moment. This is also a great place to see when you're syncing images. So if you bring over, let's say, another folder from somewhere, you'll notice that there'll be some syncing going on between all your different devices if you have the Mylio Photos Plus plan. If you want to see what those little icons mean, simply click on that little question box and you'll see whether it's receiving, sending, etc. There's also a sync panel up here at the top of the screen here as well that you could take a look at if there's any activities. Okay, we're going to take a look at the iPhone first to start with. When you click on this little panel pops out. And we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the device sync policies. That's right here. I'll go ahead and click on it. Now, the reason for this is if you have devices that might not have as much storage on them, you may want to use some different options, and I'll be showing you that, as well as vaults, which hold your original images. So on this iPhone, under device sync policies, you'll notice we have some presets here. This is a little drop-down menu. I currently have it set to Space Saver. Space Saver technology, you can optimize your images, and these lightweight files are fully editable and shareable, but you can fit up to 15 times more photos. So this means you can store a lifetime of memories even on a smartphone. Right now, I've got almost 60,000 images in my Mylio photo library, and I can see each and every one of them on my iPhone. It's fantastic. I love it. I could never do this before. That's a really nice feature. I've got Google Drive set up. I also have it set up for Space Saver. Let's go ahead and jump into my vaults. I currently have 2 vaults. At the end of this presentation, we'll also talk about backup and why we suggest 3. I'm getting another storage device here, which will be my 3rd, and I will keep that off site. But for now, I've got these 2. I'll show you my Seagate drive. If you go into device sync policies here, I have it set up as a vault. Vaults hold all of it's a complete copy of all my full-size media. I'll talk about a few of these other presets here. You might want to choose catalog. This is the minimal amount of space needed, since these will be saved as thumbnails. Highest rating will be your 4 and 5 star and pick images. Mylio Photos lets you go ahead and label and star rate your images, which is really great. Photos only would be just your photos, no copies of videos or documents. So that might save you a little bit of space. And we also have what's called a travel backup. If you are on the road and you may want to only keep 3 months of your full-size images, this is a great way to store those without taking up your whole drive. So this is a great new feature here as well. One other thing, let's just go ahead. I'm going to show you storage device down below. Sometimes I take a look at this, clicking on storage device, you can actually see how much free storage is available. You can let Mylio Photos do auto management of your storage, or you can set it yourself. But if you want to see how much storage you have left, that's a good way to go through and see that. We're going to talk about Reflect. This is my favorite part of the presentation because I can show you how you can view your images in Mylio Photos. Quite a few different ways, but we'll quickly go through them. Get you excited about this if you haven't seen this before. If you have, that's great. Just kind of a review for you. But on the left-hand side, we've got some little icons here. These are images that would be shown in your calendar or your let's see, maps, people view, and your virtual library. So quickly go through these. I have got this here. This is called a life calendar. It's probably my favorite section to view my life in images. As photographers, we're very visual people. And if you go into this calendar view here, if it has the date of when it was taken, it will show up in your calendar. So let's take a look at this. You can see there's a few years here that I've got currently, and I'm going to go into the year of 2017. We'll just jump into here. And you can see by month, we'll jump into the month of March. And on each of these days, it shows me what images I took. I was co-leading a workshop with Piper McKay, and on this day, we took a few images. So then I can quickly jump over here. But I love being able to see that by year, by month, and by day. Okay, the next one down, this is the map view. This is actually a world view. And if your images have GPS data associated with it, it will automatically populate. And I'm just going to jump down here. We're going to go into the Escondido area. Well, I'll tell you what, let's look at Solana Beach. I've got lots of images. This is Solana Beach. This was a Del Mar Fair. And I was flying my little Phantom here. It was a lot of fun. So again, if it has some kind of association, GPS, you can put it on the map, or you can manually find the location, click and drag it into the location. So it's a great way to see where you've been and maybe where you want to take some more images. Okay, the next fun view is the people view. This is where you can face tag your images. You can even batch tag your images, and it becomes a game. It's really fun because once you start tagging faces, Mylio Photos will be able to recognize some of these folks. So this is Anna. I've got about 88 photos of her that's tagged again at that workshop. Great way to go in and see your images and find people. And that would be the people view. The next one down is virtual libraries. Now, virtual libraries are like playlists for your photos. It's a great way to organize your images. You may want to organize by date or maybe by trip. I've got a couple here. This is by trip. This is in Africa. This is brown bears, horses and water. It's workshop, and then elk and flowers. Let's just take a look at this one. What I did was I went through, I pulled up all my elk in flowers, and I put them into what's called a virtual library so I can easily access them. Great way to organize. And then this little icon down here is the folder view. Now the folder view actually replicates what's on your hard drive. Now there's a couple sections I've got here. Down below is social media. So I pulled images off of Flickr as well as Instagram. These little numbers at the top indicate how many images there are. This one up here is off of my vault, and you'll see that there's 58,347 images in 99 folders, subfolders. If I double click, I can see my images. These are cover folders or photos that you can set. And this actually will replicate what's on my hard drive. Let me show you a more traditional way of viewing this. This is a little navigation icon at the bottom of the screen. This is a folder tree. So if I expand on this section here, you'll see this kind of looks more familiar for those of you who use the Finder on the Mac or File Explorer on Windows. Let me pull up my, let's see here, I've got this Finder. This here is actually that same folder. And you can see this if I scroll up to the top, see Africa 2011, it's the exact same thing. So Mylio Photos is pulling this up and you're viewing what is on your hard drive. So it's another way to access your images if you feel more comfortable with this kind of tree structure. It's available to you, or you can just view it visually by these folders here. Now with Select, this will allow you to find and catalog your memories quickly and easily using the Mylio Photos search tools. We've got some really great search tools here we're going to take a look at. And we're going to start with the quick filters at the top of the screen. This little icon here, you can open up the sidebar. And we'll go ahead to all. There we go. And this is the quick filter section. These are great if you want to search, find any of your images by different methods. This is how you can do it. You can sort by and find by rating, label, and flag. So for instance, if I just wanted to see all my 5-star, my hero images, I would click on the 5 stars here, and those will pull those up. And Mylio Photos does let you go through rate your images, label them, and even do reject or pick flags. All right. Another way you can do this is we talked about folders. We don't need to go into that one. You can also sort by date. One that I really enjoy is by day. So on this day, if you expand these sections, you'll get all these different dates here. But if I wanted to see what happened on this day, not dependent on year, I can just click on this day. So let's see, I was probably at the San Diego La Jolla Cove photographing birds, and then also went to the zoo, photographed some elk, and here's my dog Calvin. So it's kind of fun to see what you did on a particular day, but there's many different options you can choose from. You can do by file type, which is kind of cool. You expand on the photos. If I want to just pull up my raw files, I can. Now I want to show you something. It's showing me no results. I know I've got raw files here, but notice up at the top, these are what we call pills. These are little filters that I've selected. I may not have had any raw files to show on this day, but if I click that off, there we go. These are all my raw files that are available. So just make sure if you don't see something, click at the top here under filters and just delete the ones that you don't need. But yeah, you can even choose selfies and panoramas, videos, etc. And by person, we talked about face tagging. So here you can click and like Anna, for instance, we can pull her up again this way as well. And then we have a new section. This is by visual property. This is a really neat thing for photographers or for those of you who may want to find particular images by different orientations, by how you shot it. So there's some camera features here. Here is I like these by orientation. I'm going to get rid of raw and Anna. So I'll just kind of clear that up. I'll choose by orientation. Let's suppose I wanted to look for portrait or vertical orientated photos. I'll just click on that and you can see these are vertical photos. And then I can also, I'm gonna clear this out. We can do by aspect ratio. So if I needed a square, finding any square images, just click on the 1x1s, for instance, or 5x7s. Those are available to you. And then, you know, if you want to search by ISO, white balance, exposure bias, or let's say by focal length. I shoot a lot of images that are between 70 and 200. So I could set that if I wanted to. So lots of different ways you can access your images by shutter speed, metering mode. You can see there's different options down here, whether you did average, center weighted average, spot metering, etc. And if you shoot in a studio, for instance, you might want to pull up images where the flash did not fire or some strobe return light detected. Anyway, that's a new section here. It's really great. I actually use it quite a bit, a lot more than I thought I would when I'm searching for images, because I tend to know what lenses, for instance, or cameras that I'm shooting, but I also want to get really drilled down to specifics because I can always go by camera and lens mode here as well. So by camera, let's say I wanted to click on Apple. I just recently got this iPhone 14 Pro, took it to Washington to meet up with the Mylio Photos team and took it with me as we were doing photo walks and going out to restaurants and off the plane. So I can pull up all those images there as well. So let's go back to quick filters and get rid of this one here. We go to the very top. You see where it says by smart tag? These are awesome. It's computer vision and it recognizes up to 1,000 activities and more. And we're continuing to add more activities in here. So it can help you find things, even based on smiles and other visual properties. So I shoot a lot of, or I photograph a lot of animals. If I expose this section here, I'm just going to click on this little twirly thing here, expose all my different animals that I shoot. Mylio Photos, when I import my images, is looking for and adding these smart tags to these particular images. Now, let's say I want to kind of drill down. I'm going to click on bear. I want to look at all my bear images, but I just want brown bears. I don't want the black bears. I don't want any of my other bears here. I'll just click on a brown bear. Now, here are all my brown bears that I shot, whether it was in Alaska, whether it's at Arizona or Montana. It is available here. So it's really, really fun. I encourage you guys to go through and play around with these smart tags. They're just really fun. I found so many images that I forgot that I took just, going through here and selecting some of these options here. Protect is the last section we'll be talking about, and then I'll jump into where you can find more educational resources. Most photos are stored on only one single device and can be easily lost. If I could see you guys and I would ask you to hold up your hand, how many of you folks only have images on a single device? There might be a few of you, and that's why we really want to encourage you to put them on multiple devices. With the Mylio Photos Plus plan, we can safeguard your cherished memories from any device failure or loss, because you can have all of your devices connected with secure backup copies without the need for the iCloud or for the cloud that you can access anywhere. If you've heard about the 3-2-1 backup rule, that is keeping 3 different copies of your media stored on 2 storage devices and 1 device that you can store off-site, just in case there's any type of disaster, such as flooding, fires, or even theft. It's just peace of mind that I can sleep at night knowing that I've got backups of my images. Okay, let's jump into education support. I want to make sure that you folks know where you can find more information after this webinar. Here are some links, but you can find them all within the Mylio Photo program. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go into the top section here. There's a little question mark here. It's called help. If you click on help, and I'm just going to skip this section here for now. I'll jump to more help options. We have a how-to guide, and this is that Mylio Photos manual I was referring to if you wanted to go in and learn how to install on a computer. So it's at manual.mylio.com, or you can click on that link. And as you can see here, you can install on Windows, Mac, on your smartphone or tablet, and even working with the sample library. So we actually ship with a sample library of over 600 images, and you can play around with those. We've got different people, so you can play with face tagging. We've got different locations, so you can play with the map, and also dates, so you can play with the life calendar. Also in here, you can just click on each of these sections. That will expand out. If you wanted to learn more about the interface overview, let's just take a look at the left screen, for example. I'm going to click on dashboard. Here are all the different little icons that we clicked on today. Well, not all of them, these are the dashboard, but a lot of these, and it will tell you exactly what these are for. So if you have any questions about that, maybe you want to look at the actions menu, for instance, you can see what those do there. You can add and import your media from your Mylio to your Mylio photo library, and that will give you step-by-step instructions there, how to keep your library in sync, etc. So I really encourage you folks to take a look at the manual. It is really full with great tips and help. Also, we have a community. This is a great place for those of us who love photography, love Mylio Photos, and we might want to share some images and also get to know what's up and coming and some events. So we'll start with the events section here. If I click on events, you can see what's upcoming. Right now, we're currently in the Getting Started webinar. You can see that's live. Tomorrow, we've got Matthew Jordan Smith with us. He is a fantastic photographer. He shoots celebrities and does portraits, just super nice guy. He actually inspired us to do that visual properties section that I showed you today. So he's going to go over that and why he uses it. So if you're interested, that's tomorrow. You can click on that to sign up for it. If you wanted to see past webinars, just simply click on past. And what I do is I'll put in a link so that you could see past webinars here, as well as webinar replays. You can view them here as well. We've got what are called coffee breaks. Angela Andrew is usually the one who does these, though JC did a wonderful one last week. And you can actually see different topics. So if you want to look at up and coming coffee breaks, they're a little bit more informal. We always encourage questions, of course. And click on past, you can see all the ones that we've had in the past. So if there's something you want to know specifically, I'd encourage you to take a look at those and join us for a coffee break. Okay, let's see. The other thing is if you have specific questions, let's say troubleshooting, or if you had some frequently asked questions section here, these are some of our common questions that might answer those for you about compatibility and storage, benefits, etc. And if you have something specific to you, you may want to contact Mylio support. Simply click on here. You can fill out a web form and one of our competent tech support reps will get back to you. And also if there's something specific about your computer, they might ask you to send some information, totally private, but they'll give some system information that might be helpful to help troubleshoot anything that you might need. Okay, I think that we went over everything as far as the help and education. Really appreciate you folks joining us today. JC, is there anything specific we need to talk about? Looks like you've been busy in the
Yeah,
chat.
well, I've been answering a lot of questions, but John just had a question that is better answered with a demonstration. He asked if there's a way to educate or correct the smart tags. And there's a couple of things that you can do. You can adjust the sensitivity of a smart tag, and you can also either upgrade or remove a smart tag from a specific image. So I'll let Lori show you both of those things.
Okay. Well, the first one is a really good question. So if I wanted to adjust my sensitivity, let's say I'm looking at my American black bears, there's this little settings icon after each of these different smart tags. You can click on it. And if you click and drag this down to the left, it'll show you fewer matches, but it'll be more accurate. And you can apply that. If you wanted to go up here and wanted to see more images or be a little bit less accurate, you can apply here. This did a pretty good job with my black bears, but any of these have that little setting here. And then JC, the other question was, I'm sorry?
So if you click on any particular image, like click on one of the black bears and open the info panel.
Okay.
And let's not be in the family history mode.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So let's go back down here.
Just go to the more, yeah, right there. So let's say here that this wasn't an American black bear. So you didn't want this tag to show for that particular image. You could hit the little X under smart tags there, and it will remove that tag from that specific image. So if you're seeing errors or things that are not accurate, you can remove that tag on an image by image basis. Here, you can also upgrade a tag to be a keyword. So in this case, that's what Lori's doing. She's clicking the check mark next to certain smart tags, saying, yes, this is definitely an American black bear, and I want this data to become a keyword. And the difference between a smart tag and a keyword is the smart tags are only held in the catalog version of the metadata, so they're only within the Mylio application, whereas keywords can be added to the photo itself. So if she were to export this image and have Mylio include keywords with the export, that metadata would accompany that image when she does the export. So a couple of things that you can do there, John, to kind of maneuver and clarify how accurate these tags are.
Yeah, great question. Thanks
helps.
for asking that. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Any other questions for us?
Yeah, Nathan would like to see how you eliminate duplicate photos. So if you want to go over deduplication, or I can, up to you.
Yeah. Do you want to do it, JC? That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll do it. Let me
Okay.
let me answer one question really quick, and I'll switch and share my screen.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. We'll let JC do this.
All right.
Yep, there you go.
So I'm going to share my screen. This is my Mylio library, and I don't know that I have a lot of duplicates because I keep my library pretty clean. But there's two ways in which you can access the deduplication feature. You can go here to the dashboard, and under actions, there is find duplicate photos, and that opens the deduplication user interface. You can also access the exact same thing from any view by going to the top menus, and under organize, you'll see find duplicate photos. And what this does is it opens our deduplication tool. The deduplication tool, every time you start it, it's going to take you through this little blue slides that explain how everything works. You can close that at any time. You can also click this box to say, don't show it this again, so it doesn't take you through the guidance every time you use it. But what I'm seeing here is that Mylio has found 7 sets of duplicates, 14 files altogether. But right now it's applying the deduplication only to photos from 2013. And that is because that's where I initiated the process from. Notice that I'm in the calendar view and I had the year 2013. I'm sorry, 2023. 10 years difference, selected. So when I went in to find duplicate photos, Mylio assumed that I only wanted to find duplicate photos associated with that year. Likewise, if I go here and I select a folder, like the Apple Photos folder, and I go to find duplicate photos, Mylio is going to apply that. Oh, it didn't. It should have applied that filter. So in this case, we're looking at my entire library. So what Mylio is saying is that in my entire library, there's 26 sets of duplicates, and there's 52 files total. Sometimes there's more than one duplicate, right? Like there might be 3 or 4 of the same photo. But what I'm seeing is what those duplicates are. And I can either manually say, okay, I see that there's 2 of the same photo in the same folder. So I'm just going to select one of them to be removed. Or I can ask Mylio to do the checking for me. And this is especially useful. The auto check button down here on the bottom right is bottom right, yeah, is particularly useful if you have thousands of images and it's not realistic to go and check manually which one you want to keep. So in that case, you just use the auto check parameters, and you can determine what's more important to you. Like right now, I'm on the default settings, and basically Mylio looks for any photos that have been edited or have XMP metadata, meaning the photo has been manipulated in any way, like face tags have been added or the date has been corrected. It's going to prioritize those photos over others, but I can take any one of these parameters and say, move it to the top. So if like photos that have been flagged are more important to me, and I want to keep the flagged photo version of a duplicate versus the non-flagged photo version of a duplicate, I can move that to the top and make that a more important parameter than everything else. But at any rate, I can run auto check, and then Mylio will go and select which photos to keep and which photos to delete from all of my duplicates. And then all I have to do is click the delete check button or the move check button. Delete will actually go and delete those photos, whereas move will ask you, okay, where do you want me to put these duplicates? And at that point, you find a folder in your computer that is not part of your Mylio library, somewhere else, and you move those photos there. If you're paranoid, that's why we put that tool there. I tend to be paranoid, so sometimes I move them first and then manually delete them. But if you hit delete, you'll get this dialog that says, this is how many files I'm going to delete. This is how much space is going to save you. And by the way, you have the option to merge any metadata from the duplicate or duplicates being deleted into the remaining files. So again, if you have 2 versions or 3 versions of the same photo, and one of them has face tags, one of them has geotag data, and the other one has nothing, all of that data will be merged into the remaining files so that you don't lose that metadata. So that is how the deduplication tool works. And deduplication looks for exact files. So it has to be exactly the same bit by bit data. So what Mylio is doing is it's running something called a hash function, which looks at the bits of data in the file. And if they're identical, it says, okay, these photos are duplicates. So keep in mind that what might look to us, to our human eye as a duplicate, might not look like a duplicate to the computer. If you have a photo that is the same photo in JPEG format, and then you have a copy of that photo in a different format, like a Nikon format or a TIFF file, those don't look identical to the computer, so it doesn't consider those duplicates. So they have to be the exact same file. So yeah, that's how it works. Let us know if there's other questions. And then should I just keep going here with the questions?
Sure.
What happens when you remove a duplicate? Would it reappear if it's still on a linked device that gets synced? Well, it depends how your system is configured. So if you have a link folder that, let's say that you have your Apple Photos library, it's connected from your phone. So the photos are coming in from, a photo was taken with your phone and it's coming in through your phone. and you also have a folder in your computer called Photos from iCloud, and you link that folder to Mylio, well, both Apple Photos link from your phone and that iCloud folder are going to have the same content. If you delete the photo from one, Mylio is going to remove it from every device. So it's going to remove that duplicate everywhere that it has access to. So no, that duplicate will not reappear because Mylio is smart enough to make an entry on the database to say, yes, we dealt with this photo before. Andrew said he didn't want it, so we're not going to bring it back in. But there are instances that if you have something configured that's outside of Mylio and then you add that to Mylio, then the duplicates will reappear. So it very much depends on your configuration, but in most cases, it will not reappear. And Nathan says, how does Mylio interact with photos in a Mac? Are they linked? What does it mean importing and exporting photos? Okay, those are big questions. So everybody sit down. Actually, it's not that complicated at all. So the Photos application on a Mac is treated exactly the same as the Photos application on your iPhone or iPad. So Apple Photos is basically a proprietary managed library. And when you link that library with Mylio, Mylio knows how to read that library. And what it does is it does a one-way linking of that library. If you are on your computer and you link a folder, that is what we call a two-way link. So anything that you do to that folder, if you add photos to that folder, those photos get added to Mylio. If you delete photos from that folder, those photos get deleted from Mylio. And because it's a two-way link, if you are in Mylio and you add photos to that folder in Mylio, those files are going to appear in the link folder. And if you delete photos within the Mylio application in that folder, those files will be removed on your computer from that link folder. It's a two-way linking of folders. Apple Photos is a one-way link. So once you connect your Apple Photos library to Mylio, Mylio will constantly monitor that library, and anything that gets added to it will also be added to Mylio. But if you delete photos from the Apple Photos bucket, notice that right now on my screen, I have an Apple Photos folder here. If I delete photos from my iPhone library, like if I went over here and I deleted this photo from Mylio, it would delete it from all my Mylio devices, but it would not delete it from the camera roll or the Apple Photos application on my Mac because it's a one-way link. So that is the biggest difference on how Mylio interacts with photos on a Mac. But the advantage of bringing your photos, of linking your Apple Photos library, either from your phone, your iPad, or from your computer, is that Mylio knows how to read the different types of files. So if you have, say, a photo that you took with your phone in live mode, where there's both a photo and a small video, or you use the portrait mode, all of that information is going to be brought over to Mylio, and you'll be able to see those file types in Mylio by using a quick filter. I can go here and say, hey, show me any photo that I have that was taken as a live photo. And then I can go here and click the live button. And I can see that that was actually a live photo. So that information comes over, where if you were to plug in your phone with a USB cable and just import the photos directly into Mylio, that only brings the photo. It doesn't bring the live version or maintain other special features. So very important distinction there. And then Nathan, the second part of your question was, what does it mean importing and exporting photos? Well, it means how you bring photos in or share photos out of Mylio. So if I took a bunch of photos with my Sony camera or with my Nikon camera, I can click the Add Media button here, say Add Media accessible from this device, and then I could navigate to where those photos are and say, Mylio, go ahead and copy these photos into my library or move them into my library. Then those photos will become part of my Mylio Photos library. That is importing. And there's different ways of doing this. There's an entire chapter on our manual on all the different ways that you have to add media. It's also what you do when you use the guided import. These are all different ways of bringing photos or media from all kinds of different sources into a consolidated, combined Mylio library that lets you have full control of your photos. So that's what import does. Export is sort of the opposite. If I wanted to share this photo with my wife, I could go here to the share menu and I could say, I want to text this photo to her. And I could do that. I could create a text message and say, hey, Sarah, here's the Iron Man photo you wanted. That is a type of export. I could also cancel that because she's going to wonder why I'm sending her a photo of Iron Man. You could also export the file itself. So I could say, hey, I want to put a bunch of my photos, and it doesn't have to be just one photo. Let's say that I want to take every single version of the Iron Man suit here and export all of those into a thumb drive. I could say, let's export these. And I could choose what file type, what resolution. I can say whether I want safe share. Safe share is not going to put any metadata. So like all these photos have geotag information, like where I took the photo. If I don't want to share any of that for privacy reasons, I can turn safe share on. But I can also choose what data to share. I can put a watermark. And then when I click export, it's going to say, okay, where do you want to put this? And I can create a new copy, a new version of those photos that way. So that's what import and export is. I hope that helped. And then we have another question from Andrew, Windows question. How do photo end up in the pictures folder in Windows? Are they duplicates of photos I have in personal folders? Well, that is a question completely outside of Mylio realm. And it really depends on what applications you use. There's many photography applications that will use the pictures folder in Windows as the default location. You can manually put photos in there. And whether they're duplicate photos that you have in personal folders is somewhat arbitrary. It depends how the photos get there. So that's too broad a question for me to answer here. But the good news is that if you add the Mylio if you add the pictures folder to Mylio and you also bring those personal folders into Mylio and then use the deduplication tool, Mylio will say, hey, you have the same photo in the pictures folder and also on this folder called birthday 2017 is the same photo. Which of the two you want to keep? And then you can clean things up that way. All right. Have there been other questions?
I just answered a couple.
Chat?
Yeah, I just answered a couple, but I think we're good. And you answered very well, JC, as always. Appreciate that.
Oh, we have one more question here.
okay.
You want to tackle it?
Let's see. Basically, the problem is with OneDrive. My photos are in the cloud and it keeps downloading all of them. I don't have any space left on the drive, which defeats the object of having them in the cloud.
Okay, so Simon, let me ask you something, because there's two ways in which you can use OneDrive or any cloud service with Mylio. The supported way of using it is as a repository for your Mylio library. So if I go here to my dashboard and I go to my devices and I say I want to add a cloud service and I add OneDrive, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding a device in Mylio that will show over here. It'll say OneCloud right or OneDrive right here. And everything that I put into my Mylio library will be saved to OneDrive as a safe for safekeeping purposes. That is the supported correct way to use a cloud service like OneDrive. What some people try to do is they take the OneDrive folder in their computer and they link that to Mylio. And when you do that, what you're doing is you're asking for two different synchronization services. OneDrive is a synchronization service, right? OneDrive is going to look at photos in that folder. And if you don't have space on your computer, it'll put them in OneDrive. And then it'll basically delete the file from your computer. So if you link that folder to Mylio, which is basically trying to do the same, it's trying to synchronize the files that are in that folder with your other devices, you have two competing synchronization mechanisms. Don't do that, because what's going to happen is at some point, OneDrive, the service, is going to say, hey, you don't have space. I'm going to remove this file and I'm going to put it on the cloud. The moment that file disappears from that folder, Mylio is going to go, oh, he deleted that file. He must not want it anymore. Let me delete it from everywhere else. So don't do that. And then to remove the folder, you can go on devices and on your computer, and there'll be a link folder here. You can find the specific folder and you can remove it from Mylio Photos. When you remove a folder, you're removing the linkage between Mylio and that folder. You're not deleting the media in that folder itself. So that's how you do it. You can also go to the folder view and do the same thing. You can say remove. If it's a link folder, you can say remove from Mylio here. But make sure it's a link folder. So use the dashboard link folders option, and then you can remove it from Mylio Photos. So that's the correct way to use cloud services with Mylio. All right.
Okay.
Diane
let's
has
see.
a question. Have you been helping Diane with a question?
Yeah. She was asking, let's see here, about removing, if she removed a image off her computer, would also be removed from Mylio. I said yes. And then she said, maybe I should ask the device, phone, computer, etc.
So again, this depends on the relationship of the repository. So on a computer, if you link a folder that is permanently linked, that folder becomes part of your Mylio library. So anything you do to that folder or anything you do in Mylio will be propagated not only to that folder, but across all your devices. However, if you have a folder and you copy the images from that folder to Mylio, then that folder that you copy from is no longer part of the relationship with Mylio. It's a one-time thing. The photos came in. If you delete it from Mylio, it's still going to be in that folder. That is how it works with your phone. Your camera roll on your phone is a separate repository than your Mylio library on your phone. So they get treated differently. And if you delete a photo in Mylio Photos, it will delete it from the Mylio Photos repository everywhere, but it will not delete it from the camera roll on your phone unless you very, very specifically ask it to. And there's a setting on your phone within the Mylio app that would allow you to do that. It's called free up space on this device. And there's a section of our manual. If you go to the manual and say free up space on this device, it'll give you all the instructions on how to use that feature. Simon is say, I also set up a folder which is on my external drive, and I set it up with link only. I didn't want to move or copy the files, but I don't see any photos in Mylio. Well, the drive has to be obviously connected to your computer. This one's tricky without us seeing what you're doing. So I suggest you message us to support. You can contact support by going to the help menu and say contact Mylio support. And what happens when you contact support this way is that we get logs from your system. We'll be able to see how your link folders were set up, and we can give you very specific instructions for your use case. It's hard to answer this question without knowing more details. So just go to contact support from your system, click fill out web form, and that will open a browser where you can explain the problem, and we'll give you specific information about your use case, Simon, because I don't have enough detail to answer it live. I'm sorry. Diane says, so if I'm understanding this correctly, I can't really use Mylio to save everything. You can, but then remove photos of my phone. Yes, you can. You can absolutely use Mylio to bring everything from your phone, and then have Mylio go to the camera roll and delete it from the camera roll. That's what this feature called free up space on my device is for. However, this is not something that is on by default because we're very, very, very respectful of your data. And we don't make the assumption that you want us to delete something from your phone once you put it in Mylio. So you have to set this feature yourself. I'm going to share my phone and show you where this is. So here is my phone, and I'm going to go into the Mylio app on my phone. And if I go to, let's make that a little bit bigger so people can see it better. So here's the more menu up here, the three little dots. So if I tap that and I go down to settings, there is a feature called free up space on this device. And what this does is it lets me set up a schedule of cleanup on my phone. So what Mylio is going to do is, in my case, is going to look for photos that are have been taken within the last 90 days are going to be kept on the phone, but anything that's older than 90 days will be deleted from Mylio if and only if that original has been saved to my vaults, to my devices designated as vaults. So that is how that feature works, and you have to set it up manually. But yes, Mylio will bring the photos from your phone, it will save it from your other devices, and then it will delete that photo from your camera roll. And when I say camera roll, just to be very clear, what I'm talking about is the difference between the Mylio Photos app that has its own space usage in your phone and the Photos app that has its own usage on your phone as well. So Mylio by default manages anything within Mylio Photos, but you have to specifically use the free up space on this device to manage the Photos phone, to let Mylio manage that space. I hope that that helped. Great. And then Nathan says, oh, thank you. I appreciate that, Nathan. Nathan is saying that he's given us accolade for the presentation and support. And yes, please tell everybody else about Mylio. That's how we can keep improving the system and stay in business and put food on the table. So if you like the product and you find value in it, please share with your friends and let them know that we're here to help you protect and enjoy your photos in different ways. That's really what we want to do.
Yep. And as you can see, this is a super powerful program, and we love it and use it ourselves. And we really hope you folks enjoy it as much as we do. JC, thanks so much for answering these questions. You're a rock star, and really appreciate everybody.
Actually, if I may take just another minute.
Yeah.
One of the things that is the most rewarding about Mylio is that once you have that library cleaned up, it really does become kind of your second brain. I can find any photo that I've taken in my life or that represents anything important in my life all the way to before I was born. So like the calendar view is one of my favorite views in Mylio because not only can I see important recent things like my daughter's wedding right there or my mom's birthday, things like that, but I can go back in time. So here's, my son being born. And here's my daughter being born in 1995, the same daughter that's about to have a grandkid. So over here in 2003, there's going to be another baby pretty soon that will be represented in that catalog. And I can go back in time to when I was in college or high school. And even, early birthdays or other important things like my dad receiving awards from the military. The only photo I have of my grandma, because I never met her, but, she's still obviously an important part of my life, all the way back to one of the oldest photo I have is in 1944, is a photo of my mom with her grandma and 3 of her siblings. And, this is something that is irreplaceable. And the fact that I have this photo and that it's preserved and that Mylio is making sure that that photo is being safeguarded and protected to multiple devices so that I never lose it. That's really, really critical. So that is our mission, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. So have some patience. It doesn't happen overnight. Mylio is a toolbox, right? So it's not going to automatically do everything for you, but the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it, and it can be extremely rewarding. So enjoy the journey. You don't have to do it all at once, but most importantly, have fun with it.
And JC, just a couple scanning questions.
Oh, sure.
Sorry.
In
the
Are
Q&A.
those older photos images that you scan and have been added to Mylio? Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what happens. So I have, I scan photos in one of two ways. One is I directly scan them to a folder in my computer called scans. So my scanner scans directly into that folder, and anything that appears in that folder also appears in Mylio. I also use a service called Legacy Box, and you can see a folder right here from Legacy Box. So those are photos that I sent away, and they were scanned and returned to me in a USB thumb drive, and then I imported them into Mylio. But when I scan a photo, the first thing that I do to that photo is I correct the date, because the photo is going to have the date it was scanned as date created. And what you can do is you can correct that stamp using Mylio, either by just putting the correct date, or if you don't know the date, what I recommend is you switch it to undated, or you use something more fuzzy, like if you know the season or the month or the year, you can just put that, and then those photos will appear correctly in the calendar. You'll notice if I go here, I still have 1,500 photos that don't have correct dates on them, that I have to go and say, okay, when this was taken. And I think this was probably, I don't know, second grade. So I can say this was probably 1976 sometime. And I have no idea, spring. So I could say this was taken in the spring of 1976. And once I make that change, that photo will then appear in the catalog in the correct date, 1976. So that's how those scanned photos have been added. And yes, you manually have to correct the dates. But you can do multiple photos at once. You don't have to do one photo at a time. So again, if I go here to my undated photos, and I have a bunch of photos that I know all happen around the same time, you know, like a birthday party, like all these photos were taken on the same day right here, I can correct all those photos at once. So it's pretty easy to do. And again, you don't have to do it all at once, and you don't have to sit in front of your computer to do it. I can be sitting on my hammock with my iPad and go through some of these photos and correct the dates. And that work that I do on one device gets synchronized to all the other devices. That's the beauty of it, right? I can have my my phone. I can have a photo on my phone. I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Let me do that really quick. How are we doing on time, Lori?
Here we are, I think at the top of the hour. Yep.
Oh, we're a little bit over. Okay, I'll just show you this really quick, because it's one of the most important things about Mylio, right? Like if I do something on my phone, so I'm going to split the screen and show you this. Too many windows. So here's my phone. And on my phone, I'm going to go to the same location that this squirrel photo is in. All right. So keep your eye on that squirrel. I'm going to go to that same location on my phone. And there's the photo of the squirrel. And if I start, I can't change that one. Let me pick a different one. If I start changing a photo on my phone and I rotate it, I did it with my phone, that change happens on my computer. And vice versa, if I rotate that photo on my computer here, you'll see the change happens on the phone. If I go ahead and turn that photo into a black and white photo on my computer, it changes on my phone. So you don't have to do this in front of your computer. You don't have to sit there and be a slave to your. The last thing we want to do after putting a week work sitting in a computer for many of us is to sit in front of your computer all weekend and work on photos. So you can go sit outside and use your phone, etc. It's one of the most rewarding things about the system.
Diane said, that's awesome.
All right.
I agree.
And then Nathan has one more question. I have lots of old photos that I would like to bring together with the vault. How do I transfer photos from a scanner? So most scan software is going to ask you where you want to scan the photos to. You can choose a folder that's already part of your Mylio library, or you can just scan them anywhere and then use the import command to bring that folder in. So let's say you scan all those photos into your desktop, and there's a folder in your desktop called scan. You can just point Mylio to that and then do the import that way. And for more specifics on that, there's two things that I recommend you look up. One is in the manual under Add Media. And the other one is if you go to our community site, there are recordings of of previous webinars, webinar replays here, and there's recordings of previous coffee breaks where we go over some of these things. So if you do a search here for scanning, you might find a previous recording. We also have under the Mylio courses here, there's two courses that you can access. One is the Mylio Photos Fundamental, and the other one is the Scanning and Organizing Your Photos. That is a $50 course. If you're a premium Mylio subscriber, you get access to that course for free, and it takes you through everything about how to scan your photos, from how to clean the photos, what kind of scanner to use, how to import the photos that you scan into Mylio. It's a complete course. We spent a week in the studio recording this. I'm one of the instructors in it. So everything you could possibly want to know about scanning and bringing your old photos into Mylio is covered in that course. And if you're a Mylio subscriber, you get access to it for free. So highly recommend it. All right, we're gonna have to stop because we're out of time. Lori, take it away.
Okay, thanks again, JC. And we want to thank everybody for joining us today. Very interactive. We appreciate it and hope to see you again on another webinar. Take care, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.